Steve Glover, a good friend of ours, as well as guest of the program, chairman and CEO of a company called ZyVersa Therapeutics. They are publicly traded under the stock symbol ZVSA. You can go to ZyVersa.com. We've done a lot of work getting the word out with these guys because of the fact that they've got two drug platforms on renal anti-inflammatory diseases. But what I want to talk to him about is we were just up at the JP Morgan conference with a camera crew. We got a chance to sit down with him and have a couple of chats. But I wanted to get from Steve directly. Steve, how's it going? So what a difference this year than last year in the biopharma space, especially up at JP Morgan. Can you talk about last year versus this year, Steve? Because I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it was actually pretty pleasant, Sully, to be up in beautiful San Francisco at the conference this year. And thanks for having me on the show to be able to share some of those insights. But I would say last year was kind of, in medical terms, mild to moderate depression. And this year there was sunny and smiles this year. And you could see it in not only the M&A that was being announced, but also in all the meetings. It was quite upbeat, quite frankly.
What do you attribute that to?
I think it's a few things. I think when you see in our industry progress for the investors, where you have some major M&A announcements, that obviously provides some liquidity for investors that need to repurpose that money into new investments. And then I think the macro environment, the reduction in inflation is taking place, the possibility of reduction in interest rates, and now you're seeing biotech companies become much more interested in investing because they've all been beaten down so much over the last 18 months.
What's interesting here is if you consider what's been beaten down after you saw the COVID years, you'd think that biotech would be first and foremost in terms of investment and first and foremost in terms of importance, because what did we find out during COVID other than we don't know what we don't know? I was less scared than most. I think Mary was right in the middle of the pack there. I think because
I was terrified.
Well, because you have two kids and so on and so forth. I'm like, what are they going to do to us? Next thing you know, I'm toe up during Christmas. It was just horrible. Can't smell or taste anything anymore. But I think, Steve, with what you guys have going, obviously outside the COVID space, it's important to note that there's more enthusiasm now. Talk about the business real quickly.
Sure. So we are entering a big year of transformation for us. I mean, we have the two platforms, targeting about $70 billion worth of available market to us, and they're in really hot spaces. One is in the renal disease area related to the slowing of the progression of diabetic kidney disease or Alport's disease into end-stage renal disease and transplant. And we're going to see some really nice data in our first human trial, middle of the year. And we're excited by that because that's a huge benefit to patients and obviously a big upside for the company. So that's we talk a lot about that out at JPM, and got a lot of follow-up meetings with interested people around this. And then we had a lot of conversation in depth, quite frankly, around our inflammasome program, which is our second program, which is targeting about $60 billion worth of value here. And, inflammasomes are kind of like inflammation factories. So they, you get an insult or a pathogen or a virus, or maybe you have cardiovascular disease or MS, and, that's all root cause of that is inflammation. And, we're nearing the completion of our preclinical program, moving into our, first filing of our IND and into phase 1, and a lot of collaboration discussions and opportunities to build a really nice franchise there.
The year's just starting here, and obviously with the first conference looking so good, what are you most excited about here coming into the first quarter?
Well, I think when you look at the first quarter, I'm really excited to see three things that I think are important for our sector. You're going to, I think, continue to see a lot of M&A and collaboration discussions. I mean, one of the companies I'm chairman of, Ambrex, literally announced at JPM a $2 billion acquisition.
Wow.
In the oncology space. Really great win for a company that was San Diego based and 37 cents in December of last year.
Yeah, looking good.
So, you see things like that, you just go, that's a great opportunity. I think the other thing in talking with the banking and analyst community was a lot of discussion around the IPO window opening back up for companies.
Yeah.
And I think that's important as well in the first quarter, the first half of the year.
Well,
and then
I think on that subject, though, a rising tide lifts all boats, Steve. A rising tide lifts all boats with IPOs, right? It helps you guys as well.
It does, and it's like everything else. The more money returned to investors and institutional funds get, the more available capital for small companies taking that next step. It's a big step up for a lot of people.
I agree. Hey, Steve, thanks so much. We'll see you next week. Steve Glover is his name. ZyVersa, Chairman and CEO.